Good morning. Good morning. How are you this morning? I tell you, it's one of those days. It's a beautiful day. I don't know why I've been up and kind of rushing around doing multitasking this morning, and I just had so much information in my head and trying to get some things down on paper and trying to make sure I had some words for you all and it's one of those days, but it's a day that wasn't promised, and I appreciate it. I'm grateful to God that He let me see. The sun is shining outside my kitchen window here, and we all can go to all our different rooms in our houses, of course. And for me, I love it in my kitchen. And when I was growing up, the kitchen was the place where everything rocked and rolled. If my mother was baking something, or she was talking on the phone, or she was blessing somebody out, it was probably in the kitchen. And all the aromas came, and the attitudes came, and everything was happening in the kitchen. So I decided that I would use my kitchen today, like I do most days when I'm gonna present. Just come on in this space with me. So I'm going to say good morning. Good morning. Are you stuck? Yes, we are all stuck. Good morning, Jamisha. Um, we're all stuck for a lot of reasons. Whatever the reason is, we should be in touch with it. Sometimes we're stuck, and because we never address what the issues are, we never arrive at knowing what being stuck is all about. But we're all stuck, every single one of us, and we'll get unstuck, and then we'll get stuck in something else. And a lot of us will get stuck in the same things over and over and over again. It will repeat. It will repeat for whatever the reason. That's because we didn't deal with it properly the first time, or the second time, or the third time. Because some of us have habits. We just have things that we keep doing because we love them, and we really are concerned more about not how we feel about them, but how other people we think would feel about them if they knew. And I say leave it alone. Let them have whatever they want to think. My mother always used to say, and I think it's a saying that a lot of mothers said, is that no one has any hell or heaven to put you in. So therefore, whatever you bring with you, that's you. Whatever your understanding of is who you are, is where you need to be. Don't worry about what everybody else wants to place you. So this morning, I have a poem. In fact, I have two of them. Let me run and get the other one. I had printed it out, and then I forgot to get it. I was so busy getting my coffee. Give me 1 second. Thank you for that. Today's discussion is about honesty, and sometimes we're not as honest to others because we're not honest with ourselves. We keep things. And it's not that we're dishonest. We're just secretive, and it's not that we're untrustworthy. It's just we don't want people to know our inner workings. And, as I recall, talking to women I felt that were distinguished, or men that were distinguished in terms of how long they've been around and what they learned along the way and what they taught me. And some of the things that they taught me is that your truth is your truth. Can anybody take your truth away from you unless you decide to give it away and not be truthful? So anyway, we're going to talk today about honesty, which is our truth. And it says honesty. And this poem is not, it's no ownership on it. So it's free flowing out there. And I found it on the internet, as I usually do. I will go and look for for poems. And sometimes I write my own, but a lot of times I'm too busy. Once I finish this, I'm on to something else. But today it talks about honesty. Honesty does not mean simply speaking your mind. Honesty means to be very clear about everything going on inside. Now, it didn't say it was somebody else. It says inside. Where there is honest, feelings become pure and clean. Honesty is where there are no other thoughts or of feelings inside other than those that God himself would have. Such clarity is reflected in your words. They will be filled with the power of truth and spoken with the ease and without hesitation. The genuine honesty, good morning, Cassandra. The genuine honesty cultivated within you is what will reach out and touch others. If we're honest, can't nobody do anything with it. Now, even if we're dishonest, sometimes that's see-through. Good morning, Cassandra. Sometimes it's just see-through. People can see through your dishonesty. But being honest to yourself, going down to the real you, getting down to the center, getting down to that basement. I always speak to, somebody asked me the other day, why did you choose basement? I don't know. It just came to me. It's just like, basement just says it. It's at the bottom. It's at the core. It's at the, sometimes it may be the epic place of stuff going on that's not supposed to be going on. And generally speaking, it's hard to clean from the top when there's a whole bunch of stuff down the bottom. You sometimes have to start at the bottom and work up to a new top. And that may mean, and sometimes it may be difficult, I remember the story of the Princess and the Pea, where the pea was down, all the way down, all through all of those mattresses. She could still feel the pea. Why? Because that is the core. That is where there might be a hurt, or there might be a joy that needs to be rediscovered, or there might be a pain, or there might be, hey Troy, there might be so many things down underneath that those mattresses, so many mattresses, but she could still feel it. When we can get in touch with our honesty, we can get in touch with our pain, with our excitement. Because sometimes if we go down, we may rediscover some things. Haven't you gone looking for things and you rediscover them, and all of a sudden it's like new joy. It's like, wow, look at this. Hi Deborah, I have not found this. I couldn't even have remembered this until I found it again. That's because we have so much stuff. We're like the princess. And we don't even know all that we're discovered. And that's like the person, even men may have a garage full of stuff. But until they start clearing out that garage, they may think you threw it away. But no, it was buried. It was buried in the treasure that was out there. And that's what I'm saying. To dig through stuff and to find stuff, it's sometimes a difficult road for us to go down into the basement, to get in that garage, to go in even the attic. Because sometimes the attic is up, but it's just as cluttered as the basement. Because instead of you taking it down, you took it up. All that stuff that's up there. And to rediscover it sometimes may be either painful, could be joyful, or could be just, look, this is garbage. I need to get rid of it. Good morning, Carter. It may be all of this stuff that just suggests too much. I have to do better. I have to. So anyway, that was my first poem. And then I read this poem 2 weeks ago, and it was talking about just the whole concept of being under a pandemic state. And it was written by a young lady who's considered to be a young poet laureate, and it talks about, and she did it in a library. They even filmed it and everything in a library prior to the pandemic, but it ended up being something so worthy of noting again. So I'm going to read it to you. And I'm only going to read the first verse and the last verse, which to me kind of sums it up. It says, I thought I would wake into a world in mourning. Good morning, Angela. Heavy clouds crowding a society, storming. But there's something different on this golden morning. Something magical in the sunlight wide and warming. And the last verse says, we'll observe how the burdens braved by humankind are also the moments that make us humans kind. Let every dawn find us courageous but closer, heading to the light before the fight is over. When this ends, we'll smile sweetly. Finally seeing in testing times, we became the best of beings. Can we be the best of beings? You know, and what I'm trying to do during my little time in Facebook Live and this space with you is to say, no matter what's going on outside our doors, dealing with whatever is happening, life will go on for many of us. And if we take care of ourselves, you know, cover up when we have to go out, making sure that we stay our distance between yourselves and someone else, even if you love them. It's all about trying to live. That's what it's all about. But anyway, good morning, Lizzie. But we want more. I'm hoping that you'll hang with me and say, wow, I want to live. You know, I want to know more about myself, that when I leave this quarantine space for good and have my freedom of going and being with people again, I'm taking my best self forward. That's what we're hoping for, the best self. So today, in looking at honesty, I hope you have your pencil and paper. We're going to talk about what is honesty. And honesty is honesty, you know. First one says, honesty, the H is for habitual or habit. It says done or constantly doing. It has become a habit. And I think I told you about my sister biting her fingernails. That was a habit. And I think when I was little, I did the same thing. I went to college, and looked at everybody else's nails, and I said, this is horrible. I have to change this. This is not going to work. So I did. So anyway, looking at something that is habitual, something that has become a habit with you, get in touch with that. And sometimes we know it and we still do it. You know, maybe pulling hair, it may be, you know, constantly touching our faces. It may be biting our fingernails, chewing gum, popping. My mother used to say, you pop that gum one more time, I'm on you. So, you know, we couldn't pop gum. The next thing, it's a pattern of behavior, it's a routine, and it's usual. It's like you're usually doing it. And so that would certainly be what are your habituals. The other thing, the next letter is observation. Now, excuse me, not observation, organization. Are you organized? And actually, we can use both of them. How observational are you and organized in the process of getting there? It says that now in observation, it talks about the action or process of observing something or someone carefully. You know, and I'm quite sure if you're a mother, you've observed who might be trying to suit up with your children, you know, or if you're a mother or father, who's teaching your child, you know, and what are they teaching your child? Who's your child's friends? You know, who are your friends? We observe things, you know, it's been seen, it's been heard, it's been noticed. So we're organized about how we look at being observing of people, observing of things, observing of your time. All those things talks about how observational we are. The N in honesty is for nostalgic. Are you a person who really can get into your past and never move forward? Now, some nostalgia is very good. You know, like I can remember my mother and have fond memories because my mother she was a mess. And I love that about her. So exhibiting feelings, talking about how you feel about something. So it could be childhood memories. It could be friendships. It could be love ships. It could be, things that you own, such as your house or the house you grew up in or your favorite car, all of those kinds of things. And even now you can even deal with being nostalgic because for some people, they've got in touch with people from their childhood or their teenage years only because they're quarantined now and they have time to think about, wow, I wonder what happened with them or to them. And so it is a time that you can call, do FaceTime, do Zoom, all those kinds of things. The E in honesty is for exhale. Now, to me, I remember the movie Waiting to Exhale, and I always loved that movie only because all of these women had some issues, could have been with a love life or it could have been with, a job or someone accepting them or whatever. But exhale in this instance means breathing, letting it go, taking in a good breath, but letting a breath go, feeling very comfortable about I'm in my space here. I'm wonderful. I took a breath. I'm breathing out. Good morning, Brett. How are you? So it's all those kinds of things. It talks about breathing out. That would be an exhale. Obviously, inhale, you have to take a breath to let a breath out. But the exhale is letting go. Getting in some good air, but letting go of it. And in this instance, it's talking about letting go of some things that you can actually get a good breath about because you finally let it go. It could have been something that hurt you, could have been something that frustrated you or caused you money, whatever. But eventually, when it's cleared up, you can let it all go. The other thing is the next letter is S, and honesty is sadness. Can you get in touch with your feeling unhappy? Because we all have periods where we might feel unhappy. It could have come with death. It could have come with, broken friendships, or you didn't make the grade, you didn't pass a test, you weren't the one selected for the job. All those could be certainly opportunities of sadness. And so you need to be conscious of that. Even loneliness, illness, all those are certainly sadness times. The T is for thankfulness. Just the fact that you can show gratitude in whatever it may be. The gratitude could be, good morning, Rhonda, my niece. The gratitude could be in so many things that you're grateful for. Life this morning, the fact that you're still seeing, you're still hearing, you still have the use of your limbs. All those things are things to be grateful and thankful for, which is certainly, some people can't say that this morning. But if you're able to do those things, and those are things to be thankful for, and just showing appreciation for it. And the last word is yesterday. Understanding what yesterday was. It's not today. Yesterday, once again, it's in the rear. It's not now. Because once this day is over, it will become yesterday. So I'm always saying, what are you doing in your today that may take only a little bit from yesterday, but prepares for tomorrow? How do you do that? In which ways do you do that? It says the years before today are past time. It's past time. We cannot go back and undo or redo what happened yesterday. We may get an opportunity to do something else, but the period in which was gone is in our past. That is yesterday, or yesterdays, meaning that it was a multiple period of time. So anyway, those are the areas that we had to look at today. What is your honesty? And I have some questions. Hope you have your pen and paper ready. And it says being honest. And it says the first question is, what habits do you have that are good or bad? Write them down. What do you have? Being honest, okay, we all have habits, we all do. I know that my for me, I know my eyes run a lot. I have several bad eye problems, and so that's where my problem is that I have a problem with my tear ducts, especially my left eye. So I know that is my habit. I know it is. I probably got some other ones too, but I'm here for you. Okay. That question number 2, what are your real obligations? What are your real obligations? And then what do you see? Obligation is one thing, but also observation. What are you seeing out there for yourself? And how do you look at it? Number 3, what are the places in your memory that make you nostalgic? And then go to it. Does it make you write it up? Does it make you cry? Does it make you sad? Does it make you laugh? Make you sigh? What are your memories? And my daughter and I last night were talking about my mother, and she remembers my mother being so hilariously funny that and I've started a book for my mother, but I guess I got more to tell, so I haven't finished it yet, but one of these days I'm going to finish it, and that will be my nostalgic opportunity in print that discusses in the title of the book so far, it was given to me a long time ago, Lilyisms, because my mother's name was Lily and she had some stuff to say. And she never laughed about it. She just said it, and that was it. Now, the next question is, what major event, scare, trouble, concern, etc. occurred that basically made you just exhale when it ended? What major event when it got to a point where it was absolutely over? What was that event? And sometimes we go through stuff and then we forget that we went through them. And I'm trying to let you get in touch with them. What major event that could have been? For me, it was completing my doctorate, because I was truly certifiable. I should have been over at Lakeview or at the State Mental Hospital in Tallahassee, near Tallahassee. I should have been over there because I was crazy. There's a period of time that you absolutely go buggy when you're working on a doctorate. So that was my exhale when I finished. In fact, it was almost anticlimactic because I had worked up such a craziness in trying to complete it. So I know what others go through, and that's one of the things that I dedicate myself to right now, is that I've become a mentor and an advisor for a lot of people that are going through and completing their doctorates, is because I try to kick the craziness out of it, try to help them go back and readdress some of the things that say this needs to be academically sound, this needs to be looked at as you are not the expert yet, but eventually you will be the expert. And so you have to make sure you have the right sources and they be so cited. Okay, the next question is, what brought sadness to your life? Has it been the COVID-19 or what? What has brought sadness to your life? These are all honest questions. Trying to get down to our basement and come back up. But good morning, Vanessa. And the next one says, what are you thankful for today? What is it? What could you possibly be thankful for? And the last question is, what part of your yesterdays would you like to relieve or dislike, such as your childhood, your teen years, failed marriages, a job, a friend, blah, blah, blah. What would you like, what did you like or would you dislike about your yesterday? Like or dislike about something that occurred in your yesterdays. That means your past. What was it? If you have a failed marriage, write it down. If you had a bad boss at a job, write it down. If you had a friend that betrayed you, let it down. Write it down. So all those would be, things from your yesterday. And if you had some good experiences, write it down, like your childhood. If you had a really good friend and you always did things together. Like I had a friend named Maria, and Maria was Italian, and Maria ate more fried chicken and macaroni and cheese. She didn't like the greens. She didn't like vegetables, period. And I would go to her house and eat more, macaroni, pasta fazool, and, pizza feet, you name it. They had it over there. I was going over there to get it. So, those are my childhood experiences that I remember it was my yesteryears, but certainly my yesterdays, but I loved it. I loved it. So those are my questions for today. So I'm going to go back over for those who might have come in a little late, just to make sure you got the info. Let's talk about the point that we started with, which is just talking about coming into your honesty. And it's yours. It's personal. It's not anyone else's. It belongs to you. So it says honesty. It does not mean simply speaking your mind. Honesty means to be very clear about everything going on inside you. Where there is honest, feelings become pure and clean. Honesty is where there are no other thoughts or feelings inside other than those that God Himself would have. Such clarity is reflected in your words. They will be filled with the power of truth and spoken with the ease and without hesitation. The genuine honesty cultivated within you is what will reach out and touch others. So if you're honest with yourself, others will see it. It also suggests that if you could be dishonest, that could be also revealed. So I don't want anyone not to feel that I try my best to be as honest as I can. And this poem I've read before, and the young lady's last name is Gorham. I forgot her first name, but she is the young poet laureate. And it says, I thought I'd awaken to a world in mourning, heavy clouds crowding a society storming. But there's something different on this golden morning, something magical in the sunlight wide and warming. In the last verse, we'll observe how the burdens braved by humankind are also the moments that make us humankind. Let every dawn find us courageous but closer, heeding the light before the fight is over. When this ends, we'll smile sweetly, finally seeing in testing times we became the best of beings. This is a testing time. COVID-19, in fact, I don't know if you all heard this morning the warning that Dr. Fauci is supposed to say before Congress this morning, that pretty much indicates that opening too soon may have some devastating effects with higher numbers in the death rates of Americans. And so I'm staying in place. So I'll be here trying to see you in this little window, hoping that you seeing me back. And that would be a good thing. But take care of yourselves. Please be safe. And work from home if you can. And then the word was honesty today. So the H is for habits. What habits do you have? The O, observation. What do you see? What have you heard? What do you notice? The N is for nostalgic. Childhood memories, friendships, love ships, all those kinds of things. And if you still want to be nostalgic, you can follow it through by sending somebody a note, looking them up on Facebook, doing FaceTime, whatever. Put some, my mother used to say, put some legs to that. Put some legs to it. The E is for exhale. Breathe. Breathe out. Take something in, some good air, and then let it go. Good morning, Cedric. Let all that go. Let everything go on the other side of where you were. You cannot hold on to the anger, the frustration, the hate. Look for your excitement in self. Find out who you are. So let it go and excel. Take a good breath of air in and let it out. And when you let out what was coming with that good breath of air you need to take in the first place. Because sometimes we have to sigh over the things that we deal with. We deal with what we deal with. It's troublesome. But sometimes we have to know that when it's over, we need to exhale and move on. The next thing is sadness. How can you get in touch with your sadness? Feeling unhappy. Quarantine make a lot of us feel unhappy. And so if you know that you get to a point, and my counseling background says if you get to a point and you're depressed, call somebody, make it a point to reach out to someone else, to let people know, hey, look, I'm really lonely now, or I'm uncomfortable, or I'm sad, or I'm anxious, whatever that may be. Put it into work. Make it work for you, that you can honestly say that you're coming up out of it. Because to me, sadness, just like happiness, to be at those extremes, they come, but they don't stay up there. We're like most people are in the middle. They're going to be content. They don't necessarily be high happy or high sad. But if you get to the point where you feel like those things have really taken its toll on you, call somebody. They have some hotlines that are available, and there's a lot of assistance out there, both online, and they're doing some video stuff. I know that Lakeview also entertains all of that kind of stuff too. The next thing is being thankful. Getting in touch of what you can be thankful about. The fact that you're seeing today, the fact that you can still hear, you can walk, you can talk, all those kinds of things. That is your thankfulness, and that certainly is your appreciation of how grateful that you can certainly say that if you believe in the Lord up above, you can certainly say He gave me another day. He gave me time to do something else, and I'm glad. I'm glad about it. And the last one is getting in touch with your yesterdays. Understand that that's like nostalgic, but you can't repeat it in this instance. If it's in your past, it's in your past. You can't change what's in your past. You have to go forward. You must go forward. If you don't do anything else, you have to look at going forward, because this too that we're in now will pass. It will pass. I don't care what anybody says. When you go through all of the books of the Bible and all of the destruction that went on, they went, good morning, Miss Rosie, they went on in such a way that the sadness was there, the frustration was there, the destruction was there, the plagues were there, all of those kinds of things. So this is repeating itself now. This is our modern day being addressed with what we're facing. And what we're facing is, a pandemic that we've never seen in our lifetime. We've read about prior pandemics, but we weren't living in 1918. Many of us were not. And those of us who were living, they're much older now, so they know what was required, what they went through. This is our go through right now, and so how we come out of it is a good thing, that we understand that even yesterday was one day less that we will be in the pandemic. And so we're just knowing that we need to be prepared. We need to look out for where we're headed to. And coming out of this pandemic, is we can come out where we look at knowing who we are, what we're all about. We won't repeat some of the things that we used to do before. We really stand in our truth and our honesty. All those things pretty much address our forward. Where are we going to go? So those are the things that I have today. I appreciate you stopping by. I'm going to give you your last questions just to make sure you know. If you came in late, it talks about what are your habits. Get in touch with them, good or bad. Because some people, we have habits, we don't pay attention to them, but we should. We should. What are your real obligations? What are you obligated to do, not do? The third question, what are the places in your memory that make you nostalgic? Good or bad? Make you cry, make you sad, whatever, whatever. Get in touch with them. What major events, you know, basically troubled you and caused you great concern, and when they were over, you could exhale. You could exhale. What were they? Okay, the next question is, what brought sadness to your life? Has this COVID-19 brought sadness? It hasn't for me. I can tell you, I've worked harder now only because I don't have to be attending a lot of things. I do have a couple of meetings today through Zoom, but I don't have to physically go, and so that's allowed me to really concentrate more on being able to really live instead of just say I don't want to go. But now I'm actually living. I don't have to go. I don't have to go. The next question is, what are you thankful for today? What are you thankful for? And the last question, what part of your yesterdays would you like to relive, or you definitely don't want to relive it? You either liked it or you disliked it, but you can get in touch with it. Or them, or people, could be marriages, whatever, relationships. What are those? So those are my honesty stuff for today. Yesterday we did goals. Today we did honesty. And I tell you, the Lord works with me, because I go to bed thinking I'm going to do something after I prepared it, and then the next day I come up with something else. But I just want to wish you all the best of the day going forward, that you come up with your honest and truthfulness of you. It's nobody else. This is on the other side of quarantine. I'm hoping that you will not only have a better you, but you'll work with me and we'll do some other good stuff going forward. Please join go to my YouTube station and subscribe. I would love that, which is, it's listed. It will be listed in this area above my video once I'm done. And so I have that. And then I also post it in the actual video subscription stuff. You can go there and see all of the videos. I think this is number maybe 27. So this was started with a challenge, and the Lord is still working with me, because here I am doing what I've done for years as a trainer, a teacher for the federal system, and now here I am doing it as a good neighbor. Okay, I'm gonna be your neighbor online. Okay, I appreciate you, love you. I want you to have the best of the day, the best going forward. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.